Welcome back to another episode of the Muscle Radio. I am Dave Palumbo, and it is May 24th, 2021, and we are live on this Monday afternoon. And we have a great panel here for you today, of course. The usuals, Chris Aceto, John Romano. We are joined also by Powerhouse Gym Franchise owner WILL DABBIsh. Welcome, Will. And Rob Jordan. Are we having some audio issues all of a sudden?
A little bit.
What about now? Will, let me hear you talk for a second.
1, 2, 3.
There we go. We got it back. All right. The gods are blessing us today. John, you, obviously, Chris, you guys know Will from back in the day. One of the pioneers in our industry at starting the Powerhouse Gym Franchise. Will, you know, when you started Powerhouse, Golds and World Gym were out there. That was a monumental task you guys set out on doing. Where did that brainchild come from?
So, Dave, actually, we were the second one, and we opened up.
I think we're having trouble hearing you, Will.
Fight him. He was a lot bigger than me. So and that led into renting space at the supermarket. Powerhouse.
Can't hear him, dude.
Yeah, you know what, Will, we're having trouble hearing you.
We're going to miss great stuff, Dave.
Hold on, Will. Maybe, you know what, disconnect and then reconnect and then to the link.
He's on a Chris Aceto internet connection.
Yeah, I think he's on a Chris Aceto internet.
He might be better off on his phone than the.
I think he is on the phone.
I'm on the phone right now, guys.
Oh, could you have Wi-Fi? Can you get on Wi-Fi?
So we go to my Wi-Fi? Yeah.
That would be better.
All right.
If you could.
Chris, what was the first Powerhouse gym you remember going into yourself?
Vinny Greco's, because, you know.
That's right. He had him.
But what I can say about Powerhouse Gym is, and I want Will to, you know, touch on this, is, you know, besides the gyms, which was big, the clothing was enormous. I mean, everyone had a Powerhouse Gym jacket, sweatshirt. You know, that was like back in, you know, late 80s, I guess, early 90s.
Yeah.
You know, he had the ads. You got to ask him, you know, well, I'll ask him. The ads, he had ads in Flex and Muscle Fitness. I wonder how he got those. He probably traded somebody out. Because he didn't pay for those ads. I don't care how many T-shirts he was selling.
Actually, I'd make
We still
the bodybuilder and I'd pay him, and then they'd give me your ad.
Who?
We're still having trouble hearing you, Will.
I would trade.
He's answering that question how he got the ads.
You know what? Will, disconnect from the link, go out of the browser, and then come back into it, because it might just be a connection issue. John, what was the first Powerhouse gym you went into?
Ooh, I don't remember. I remember talking to Norm back in the day about buying a franchise when I was with Shelly. I don't really remember what happened, how we ended up with Golds instead, but the really cool Powerhouse I remember was the one they opened in Santa Monica, right across from the firehouse, in the building with the clown. Remember the clown building? Yeah. Gary Stridham lived upstairs, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, which is weird because it was not like a separate building. It was like eight storefronts or something like that, right?
And they were kind of in the middle in this really cool kind of like almost like a courtyard kind of thing. It was a really, really cool gym.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Bev's, you know, but that was
that was after.
Yeah, that was later.
How's your connection now, Will?
Can you guys hear me?
Nope,
okay?
we're not. You're still breaking up a little bit.
Why is this?
I think it's the Wi-Fi connection is not good.
Yeah, this is terrible.
Yeah, it's not a good connection, Will.
Okay.
Something's not right. Yeah, I don't. Something's not right.
Yeah.
You know, the first gym I had gone into, ironically enough, the first Powerhouse, Chris, was also Vinny Greco's. And I remember walking in, there was a huge warehouse, and on the wall they had these long, they had to be like 20 feet, you know, long posters of Matarazzo and DeMeo. And, you know, I figured that's where they trained, their home gym, because it was so big. And it was just like, holy mackerel, this is like crazy that I'm training in this gym. It was like a huge warehouse. And Vinny's no longer with us. He passed a couple of years ago. But That was a great Powerhouse, and I was just like, man, this
He was
is
a great guy.
this is the greatest gym of all time. I was like,
Where
hardcore.
was it, Dave?
It was in Rhode Island, right, Chris?
Vinny Greco's in Watertown, Mass.
Oh, it was in Mass. Okay. That's right. It was, because I went to visit a friend of mine at Brandeis University, which was up there in Massachusetts. But he used to run a show in Rhode Island, Vinny Greco.
Yes, he did.
Will, let's see how you're doing now. Any better?
Okay. Hopefully this works well now.
Yeah,
I have my location.
Yeah, I think
Great.
Okay, good. Yeah, Vinny was
so now you were saying you were the second franchise after Gold's to start?
we started a few years before Worlds. Worlds didn't start till Joe Gold sold Golds and he retired for a while. Then he came back and Arnold helped him open the World Gym.
Right. I didn't realize. So what year did you start Powerhouse in?
74.
Oh shit, that's a long time ago. Wow.
What was the first one? Where was it?
In the same location as now, Highland Park, Michigan. It's like
That's the one I went to. Yeah.
It's still there?
Right. It's still there.
Wow, that's awesome.
40,000 square feet now.
You're the only person who hasn't really abandoned the roots of the hardcore, thing that you set forth all those years ago. I mean, so many people have sold and this and that. And you guys still own your own. You're still the owner, right, of the franchise?
Oh yeah. Me and my sons, because I had a million people used to tell me tone down the logo, get rid of the muscle man. And I told them no, never do that, because to me it's like the man is like, we know what we're talking about. We can build that. We can take care of your issue.
Right. No, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean now
Charlie Davison, the best player.
Was it when you guys opened the Powerhouse in Venice on Main Street there? Already Gold and World was there already like that. Was that like more of like to let everyone know, hey, we're here? I mean, was that what the gym was for, or did you guys really, think that you were going to compete at that level, because there was so many gyms in that area, obviously?
Yeah, we already had about 230 clubs, 250 clubs at that time, and actually, it was my brother Norman went to the club in Venice, because he saw like Venice Beach, like in Detroit, you got the big three: GM, Ford. So he wanted to be the big three: Gold's, World's, Powerhouse.
Right.
So,
and how many storefronts did you guys have there?
All of them.
Oh shit!
How many storefronts was that? 8?
Let me see. 8 times 2. Yeah, about 8. Was there about 2,000 a piece? Yeah.
Wow. So that's really not that bad for rent wise, I guess, when you think about it. Right? It was right in the heart of Venice, right there.
Oh yeah. Well, the rent was outrageous. We were paying $50,000 a month.
Oh, you paid $50,000 a month. Oh,
are you kidding? In that building with the clown? That was insane. That was like the premier address in Santa Monica at the time.
What were you guys charging for memberships at that point?
Well, we went for volume. Memberships were like really the same, $300-400 a year.
Wow. How many members did you have there?
We probably had about 4,000 members.
That's pretty insane there. I guess most people had multiple memberships, John, right?
I did. I was a member at all 3.
Right. And Stridham lived right above you. Did you guys own that too, or was that separate?
Oh, there was a separate condo unit upstairs, and Stridham lives upstairs. He'd come down, train every day. He was like, when he was in great shape. To me, he had at that time the best legs for a tall man.
Yeah, no, Stridham was a freak, especially when it was that WBF years. What did you when did you guys leave there, or what prompted you guys leaving there?
Well, our leash ran out, and then the homeowners were like about the noise from the gym, so it was a situation.
That sucks.
So when the leash ran out, we just left.
That sucks. Chris, you had an interesting story that you were recalling to me about when you met Will and Norm.
Well, I met Will once, and it was at the North America it was either North America or the Olympia, like 88 or 89 or 90 at the latest. And they had a booth at the show. And me and Laura were there with like books and clothes and stuff. And somehow we like asked to piggyback off their booth, which is like we were moochers. You know, we wanted to sell stuff and make some money, but we couldn't afford a booth.
Yeah.
And so we approached either Will or Norm or Crystal. I remember Crystal so distinctly because not only did they give us space to sell stuff and make money, but we were uncomfortable with it, you know, and we weren't sure if we should ask or whatever, but they made us feel so comfortable. They said like anytime, you know, they're just so sincere. And after that, you know, I mean, we never really spoke too much. I don't think after that, I think maybe Crystal a little bit. But that was the Dabish's reputation, is that they were genuine people. And, you know, obviously I know Samir really well, and Samir's tight with Will, or was tight. I'm not sure how tight they are now, but I mean, Will's from Detroit. Lou, people don't, I don't know if his, you know, Lou Ferrigno was out in Detroit. Samir was out in Detroit for a while, right?
Yeah, Tom Plaster.
A lot of great bodybuilders are from Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, Linda Murray, the current Miss Olympia. They're both out of
Yep.
the Highland Park Powerhouse.
Iris Kyle's from Detroit.
Yeah, he trains at our Powerhouse in Highland Park. The original one.
Ron Love.
Ron Love. Yeah, we had
Will,
quite a few guys.
how big was the clothing line? Because before when we didn't have good audio, I was saying that there was a time where everyone wore Powerhouse Gym clothes.
Yeah, we were probably selling about 400,000 or 500,000 a month in clothing.
Wow.
There you go.
Mackerel.
I told you,
Right?
I made the assumption before the show started. I said they probably got to the point where the clothing was as big as the gyms. I mean, I don't know, but you know, some of the Powerhouse gyms you'd go into, right, and you'd go behind the desk, and the T-shirts and the jackets and stuff would be stacked literally up to the ceiling, you know, all the way around the entrance.
Yeah, I mean, the clothing was like such a great profit center for the club. They would use like sometimes the memberships to break even, and all the profit came from clothing and pro shop.
You guys were a clothing company then.
To a degree.
Who made the logo for you, for the Powerhouse Gym logo?
Well, I came up with that in '74. You remember the cartoon The Thing, the character, the Rock Man?
Yep.
So we took the Rock Man and kind of turned him into a human.
It's a good idea.
And son or something.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Who was the would you say was the most notable bodybuilder who was associated with the Powerhouse Gym franchise?
I got to guess.
Bev.
Well, you mean as far as like training there, or?
Yeah, just like people like I know. I think in my head, I see Powerhouse and I see a certain person's image in my head. Who would you say?
I would say Ron Love.
Yep, I thought so.
Me too. Yeah.
Because
Matarazzo too, right?
Pardon?
Matarazzo was big in Powerhouse, wasn't he too?
Yeah, he trained a lot of Powerhouse. He was a great guy, and
When he was up in the Northeast.
Dean Caputo was around.
Dean, right? Dean too.
Yeah, that's right. Good one, Chris.
He had a Powerhouse. He's got another one, doesn't he? Didn't he just open a new one? He told me. Oops.
We're opening a lot of new clubs right now in South Florida.
I need one. Where in South Florida?
Well, we put one in Fort Lauderdale. We got another one going in Plantation, and another one going in Miami.
I need one in Fort Myers, Cape Coral area, the other West Coast.
Yeah, we're trying to make our way out there, trying to find a location at a decent rent.
Right. Well, now's a good time, right? Because a lot of clubs went out of business after this whole COVID epidemic, right?
Yeah. Only problem is, you have so many guys wanting to open gyms, and they're paying like stupid rent, so they drive the price up.
Right.
Then
That's exactly.
How can you make money anymore these days, Will, paying rent? With gym memberships are like almost free now. Like when Planet Fitness popped up, it's like $9 a month. How do you guys make money anymore?
You got to have volume. Like our good clubs are 6,000-7,000 members or more.
Wow.
Everything is volume. Then the personal training, profit center. We rent space for physical therapy. Different services also.
How many gyms do you guys personally own? And then how many do you franchise out? Do you know?
Yeah, we have about 20 that we own and about 300 in our franchise.
Wow, that's great. And you were never offered money, Will, to sell the franchise?
We were a lot of times.
And you said no.
No, I said no.
Why? Why wouldn't you sell, Will?
Well, after my brother passed away, I would never sell it. And plus, I wanted to pass it down to my sons.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You could have passed down a lot of cash to your sons too if you sold it.
But I just felt it had a lot more, room to grow, and I don't want to I didn't know what they're turning into. Is the biggest reason why.
Right.
Where do you see the gym business going now? Speaking of growth, how do you see it changing with this landscape now that's so different?
For us, what's working best for us is the big box club that offers everything. But when it offers everything, you got to make sure that each department is top notch, and you don't just have it to have it.
Well, what's included in everything?
We have pool, basketball, 4 or 5 aerobic rooms with all different kind of classes and physical therapy.
What does a club cost? What does a club like that cost to build, Will?
The last one we did cost $4.5 million.
Oh man! Wow. You guys really upped your game. That's huge.
Yeah, 30 years ago, we were never even thought these numbers were possible.
Who got you? Was that your brainchild to raise the level of what you're doing?
Yeah, I always believed in Powerhouse to a very strong extent, but we didn't have the financing to open clubs like this.
Right.
So we took a gamble. About 12 years ago, a Gold's Gym opened and closed the same year. It was 60,000 square feet, hardly no equipment. So we took it over, filled it up with equipment, and then our new model was born.
Wow, that's cool.
And what made you think what was the difference? You said, okay, Gold's just went bust, but I'm going to take over the same spot. Is that what you did?
The exact same spot.
Did we able to negotiate a different lease, which made it profitable for you, or was it something where you just said, you know what, I can do it because I know what I'm doing?
It was more like we can do it. We know what we're doing, and we can offer a lot better product. We can give the members a lot more personal service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about sups? You guys are you still doing supplements, or you did supplements for a while, right?
Yeah, we still do supplements. We have nutritionists in the club, so they rent space from us, and they do the individualized supplement programs.
And what were you doing, Will, before? I don't know if we did, I might have missed this because of bad audio. So before you guys went into the gym business, the Dabish family, you and your brother, and what were you doing?
Inner city grocery stores.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. That's a nightmare business.
How'd you make that transition from grocery store to a gym? They are related, but
they worked out. They liked bodybuilding.
The second riot we had, we decided to change careers.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question, Will, because everyone, I don't know if for people who know you, they know this to be true. People who don't know you don't know. You and Will you and Norm were known as tough guys back in the day. No one messed with you guys. You had a good reputation on the street and everything like that. Would you attribute that was what your success was? People hanging out with you because you were guys, you gave your word was gold. You didn't go back on anything. You didn't let anyone bully you or anything like that. Do you think that was a part of your success?
Yeah, that we were gentlemen.
Right.
We never abused anything.
Yeah.
But you guys had that reputation of your word was gold,
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of the world we came from. So we, how we were brought up.
Right. And I'll tell you a funny story. I went to Will. I think your brother Norm told me when I was doing a photo shoot in your gym in '98. He said, "Look," he goes, "I want to just tell. I don't know. We kind of hit it off. We got along." And he said to me, "You might have been there too. I don't remember. I remember Norm telling me. He goes, if you ever want to work out at any Powerhouse gym, you never pay to walk in that door." I said, "Thank you very much." So I was up in Michigan. This is when I was dating Colette. And we went to a Powerhouse to work out for the day. And I was still big and everything. I walked in there, and the guy who owned it, I don't remember who it was or which one it was, but he kind of was giving me a little bit of an attitude. And he was like, wanted to charge me. I said, Norm, I'm a friend of Norm Dabish. He told me if there's ever a problem here in Michigan, you know, you can give him a call. And the guy kind of like didn't really like it. And I think he went in the back, he disappeared, and he came out and he said, "Oh, you can train, no problem." So I'm assuming he probably called Norm. Norm probably told him, "If that guy trains, don't charge him."
Yeah.
It just really struck a chord with me because it was such, the loyalty there was so great. And I know that's really what you guys have been known for over the years, you know?
You know, I mean, it's important, you know, it takes you a long way. People remember that.
Right. Now you still train every day, right? I mean, Rob Jordan's here with us. He's like, he goes and works out with you every day. That's incredible. You still do it.
Yep, training hard.
I train every morning. That way, no excuse, nothing, because, you know, do my workout.
Now, how many surgeries have you had? Because Rob said you've had quite a number of surgeries recently.
Dave, I had over 30.
Oh my God! What did you have done?
I got 2 hips. I don't have a shoulder on the left side. They took out my shoulder joint 6 times trying. My quads got torn. It's a whole stupid list. Most annoying, I still don't have a left shoulder and the 2 hip replacements.
How come they don't do a shoulder replacement on your shoulder?
Well, no, they did it 6 times.
Oh, the shoulder replacement 6 times?
Yeah, they cut me 6 times in the same year.
Wow, that sucks.
So they're not going to try and.
Ugh. You got to come down here to go to my guy down here. He invented the reverse shoulder replacement. He did both my shoulders.
Yeah, that's what I had. A total, you know, shoulder just didn't work out.
Yeah, you should talk. I'm going to give you my shoulder guy's name. He's like one of the best in the world. You should talk to him. He's a bodybuilder too, the guy, so he can relate to what you're going through, I'm sure. Talk to me back in the day. Tell me some fun stories from back in the day that you can remember of like guys coming in, bodybuilders, maybe pro bodybuilders in the gym. Any drama or stuff that went on that like was funny that like, you know, you remember like, oh my God, I got to tell people the story. This is the greatest story.
Really, I mean, the Highland Park gym location, you've been there. It's like,
yeah.
You had no police department for 17 years. No cops or fighter. So kind of you're on your own. You keep the
I didn't know that. Really? That's crazy.
And so we used to have guys, you know, coming off the street. And we found ourselves actually having to save the guy who came in and caused trouble from our members wanting to kill him. One place to come and start a problem.
Right. Let me ask you this question. Joe Weider, what was your relationship with him? Did you guys have a good rapport with him?
Tremendous, man. It was the best.
Really?
Never charged us for anything. We'd give out first place trophies. Everything was just complimentary.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Joe Weider was doing a charity foundation for Israel.
Right.
He was calling guys, you know, and I surprised people would say, "One ticket, 2, or I don't want them." Right. So when he called me for tickets, I said, "Joe, I'll take a couple tables," because I knew it was a heartstring for him. He just, we never did anything.
Wow.
So
you had a mutual respect for each other, in other words.
Yeah, and same thing with Ben Weider when he asked me to sponsor like drug testing in 1990, I think it was the IFBB. I said, "Yeah, Ben, what do you want?" And we just send him a check. Knowing the consequences is going to come back tenfold.
Sure. Why do you think you get, John?
What did you think of that whole thing, drug testing bodybuilders back then?
Personally, I think it's ridiculous.
But you supported it?
Oh, had to.
That's interesting.
Not really drug testing for the most part.
Yeah. Did you think that when Ben wanted to put the bodybuilding in the Olympics, did you ever think that was a possibility? I mean, given who his connections were, or was it a pipe dream?
I didn't really think it'd be possible, but it's hard for them to rationalize bodybuilding as a sport.
Right.
To me, it's more art.
Yeah, that's what I think too. It's like a Broadway show almost.
Yeah,
it's like a pageant.
It'd be hard for them to judge it. I mean, I know they do gymnastics stuff, but to me, bodybuilding, I just consider it like art form. But you're creating an illusion when you form a peak.
Yeah. Did you think? Now you competed for a number of years. What was your take on competing? How did you enjoy it, or did you prefer to be behind the scenes more?
I prefer behind the scenes. I hated competing because I was more introverted, so I wasn't a good poser. But more important, I hated the starvation diets. You don't want to. You don't want to make a comeback, huh? Will? How old are you now, by the way?
63.
Oh wow! Okay, you're in John Romano territory over there.
You just wait, Dave.
Believe me, I'm on my way. I know. Believe me.
Dave, could I say something?
Absolutely, Rob.
Oh, and it's so motivating seeing Mr. Dabish train. He's had all these surgeries and all that, but he still trains, and you could feel and hear the pain he goes through, but he still trains his ass off. You wouldn't believe it's very motivated. And his gym is truly for Michigan, the mecca of bodybuilding. From the time you walk in to the experience from training there to the time you leave, just the way you're welcomed and the way the gym's set up and everything, it is the most unbelievable gym there is. So it's really motivating to be there. And he has a bunch of professional bodybuilders, competitive bodybuilders. So it's a lot of fun. And just seeing him again train with what he's been through with his surgeries, it's very motivating. And I thank you for that, Mr. Dabish.
Thank you very much. Thank
you. It's interesting, and John, maybe Chris, you could speak to this too. When I was very big, over 300 pounds, and I would go into a gym, like if I was traveling, it was very uncomfortable. When I trained at Bev's gym, so I never had a problem back in New York. But when I would travel, I would go to gyms, and these owners would look at me like I had 25 heads when I walked in. I had the shorts on, my legs were like 33 inches. I was, tank top. They didn't want me in the gym, and it was an uncomfortable situation. But when I would go to Michigan and go into the Powerhouse gyms there, it was like I felt like I could be myself and I could train, I could do what I had to do. And there's not a lot of gyms around where you have that feel where you can go into a gym and be yourself as a bodybuilder. Especially now with the Planet, Fitness is out there and all these basically watered down gyms that they got. Do you see the resurgence, Will, of the hardcore gym again, or is that long gone?
I mean, in my opinion, it really never lasts. Just people will try to alienate it. I mean, at the very least, when we open our big spot clubs, I always like to make an area for the hardcore guys. So they go in their area, they can do whatever the hell they want. They're training like they did in the 70s and 80s, and keep them away from the soft circuit guys.
Yeah,
that's a great word.
Chris, any question for Will?
No, I just Dave, you said you felt comfortable in Michigan. It made me think of now that I recall when I attended maybe 1991, 1990. Maybe Will can tell you that I don't know if they had it in conjunction with the Olympia. They used to have the Powerhouse Gym annual owners gathering.
Yes. Yeah.
And Will, and it was, I'll tell you the difference. Because I'm not going to say who, because I don't want Ed Connors getting pissed at me. Golds. But I worked for Golds, and I went to the Golds Gym Convention, and it was business. You know what I mean? And which is important because that's what it is. But when I went to the Powerhouse Convention, it was business, but it was a family. And that was that was a very big distinction because the owners loved being Powerhouse Gym owners. And will tell you, a lot of Powerhouse Gym owners came from having already been with another franchise.
Yeah.
And Bev's gym switched, the Montanari brothers switched, that from Golds to Powerhouse.
That was big, when Bev and Steve switched to Powerhouse. That was a huge shakeup in the industry.
Well, your goals was too much. Too much for the business. We're really appreciative. So
yes.
I mean, I'm not gonna know the real reason why they switched it. I don't care. I'm just glad they switched.
But you know what, Will? What's so stupid is they knew it worked. Ed Connors had built a franchise that worked, and they were all over the place. They were successful, and then this hotel chain comes in and buys Golds, and they completely change everything, and they lose all these clubs, and the business starts going down into the toilet. I mean, how dumb could they be?
I mean, when I travel, I see nice Gold's Gym. That's the closest thing to what we do.
Yeah.
Our club more than any other club, a real Gold's Gym. But that's why I never wanted to sell, because I didn't want the corporate suits to come in, have a contract telling me what equipment to buy.
Well, in a sense, you got lucky because Gold's went corporate and abandoned their roots. They went down into the toilet. World Gym, I don't really see any World Gyms anymore. So you kind of are really the only, survivor, so to speak, in which case you took all the business essentially from everyone, right? In that hardcore community, at least.
I think, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's still some good World and Gold's gyms around, I'm sure, the parts of the country. But I guess as a whole, we just stayed the same and just kept pushing our same thing.
Yeah.
Serious training for serious results.
Mm-hmm. Right. When you when someone comes to you and says, "Hey, Will, we want to open a franchise," how do you vet these people to make sure that they that they're the real deal?
They do an application. What they have to allocate for the project. Then we start seeing what kind of club do they want, what do they want the club to offer, the venues, etc. Then we just work with them closely and work with real estate guys to try and find the best deal in the best location.
Right. So, in other words, any schmuck off the street can't open a powerhouse. They got to actually, have all their ducks in order, so to speak.
They have to qualify and they have to, come to Michigan and get trained, in the business and so on. So they follow this team.
It's great that you actually offer training for people, because a lot of people open gyms, they don't know what the heck they're doing. And so in essence, by having a powerhouse, you could actually get the training you need to be successful as a gym owner, right?
It's all up to that individual owner to come and get trained and follow what we do. Unfortunately, some guys think they know more than everybody, and then they hurt them.
Yeah.
How do you protect your brand from being hurt like that? I mean, the vetting process is one thing, but once you're vetted and the guy's off on his own running the business into the ground, do you guys step in at some point and turn them around, or do you let it fail? What happens?
Well, in the agreement, we have clauses which they can and can't do. And if they're running it downhill, then they're obviously going against clauses in the agreement. Then we just put them on notice, and if they not, we just terminate them.
Oh, wow.
Change the name of the club. We don't even bother suing them. The balance of the money deals, we just don't want them with us.
That makes
smart. That's smart. Yeah, smart.
Plus less.
Yeah. Let's talk bodybuilding for a minute, Will. I mean, back in the day, you were at every show. I remember seeing you guys go to the Olympias and the Arnolds. Who do you feel like, from a hardcore standpoint, was the best Mr. Olympia that you can remember, in your time, where you say, hey, you know what, that's the guy I think should represent the sport?
Well, in a hardcore sense, I say Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah.
But in an aesthetic physique, all around, Lee Haney.
You like Lee Haney, okay?
Yeah. Because that height and the waist, back differential, etc. I mean, I wish his arms were bigger, but I say Lee Haney.
Wow.
His arms were bigger too.
That was before the jimmying up.
No, you know what happened, Will, is because people would do this. Haney was like a dominant, or like the Mr. Olympia, right? But they'd always even though he was not too far behind, it was, 10 years before was Arnold, and Arnold had the arms, right? So everyone always thought you got to have the Arnold arms, but he could have used more arms for sure.
But actually, the guys who never won the Olympia had, to me, the most amazing physiques. Kevin, Chris,
Flex.
Those guys were incredible.
Yeah. Do you think the 90s was the heyday of bodybuilding?
I personally think, late 90s, all around, because the amount of great physique there was, and because the guys had small waist or smaller waist.
Right. What do you think about the classic physique division that they got now, to try to bring back that look?
I mean, I think they don't want to, go as crazy. The guys have options.
Yeah. I think it's good that when they have at least options for people to go into, but Chris and I have discussed this, and John too. I think a lot of these classic guys will eventually move up, you know, a lot of them are young guys, and then as they grow, they kind of grow out of the class and into the open bodybuilding, you know, which is like kind of like a breeding ground. And they kind of got like a minor leagues because they got the men's physique, then they got classic, and then they got, you know, open bodybuilding now. So.
Oh yeah, if they're doing that. They obviously got the bodybuilding bug, and once you got that, you know, never big enough. You're always trying to get bigger.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's true because Jose said that, and Jose got criticized, right, Chris, for saying that most of these guys want to be big bodybuilders, but they're just not there yet. And so they just, you know, this is a class that they fit into at the time, and they can make use of it. But a lot of the guys want to be open bodybuilders, I think, at heart, you know, even if they won't admit it, you know.
Well, I mean, you, whether you're classic or not, you go to the gym the next day to have a good workout to get bigger.
Right.
You know, I mean, nobody goes to the gym to say, I'm going to get my tie-ins better or my delts more defined. I mean, you do, you know, for a contest, let's say, but, you know, the whole goal when you wake up is how can I get better? And a big component of better, no matter who you are, if your training is, how do I get bigger?
Sure. Will, who was the biggest, freakiest bodybuilder you've ever had for a guest posing at one of your shows back in the day?
Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah. Did you guys ever have Vic Richards come out at all?
Pardon me?
Did you guys ever have Vic Richards come out and guest pose back in the day?
And he was huge, but he wasn't like Ronnie's crazy quality.
No, definitely not.
You know, Ronnie, I spent a week with him in China. We went there to promote Powerhouse.
Right.
And the guy just like, he was just such a freak. I mean, he told me disc in his back, and he squatted 800 pounds for reps.
In China?
Yeah.
My number one rule was never to try to break records when you're like overseas, like, because, you know, your body's a little off. Ronnie didn't care. He would train. He just couldn't wait to get to the gym, you know?
Yeah, I just couldn't believe how just strong this guy was. I mean, every body part was just so freaky strong.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because Ronnie is so humble too, because we were out eating once. We did a guest posing together. His arms, we were sitting at the table. His arms had to be like 23 inches. They looked like they were 28 inches, but he's sitting and we're eating, and he keeps looking over at me. And I'm like, Ronnie, what's the matter? He's like, man, how do you get so lean in the off season? I said, Ronnie, you're sitting there with a 25-inch arm at the table, and you're asking me, how are you so big? I said, it's genetics. I said, I don't know. He was laughing. I just thought it was really funny that Ronnie was asking me how I got so lean in the off season.
You made such a statement.
Yeah. But Ronnie was humble. He didn't think he was better than everyone. He thought he was always trying to figure out, you know, what am I missing here? What don't I know, or something like that? You know, let me educate myself a little. That was great. Very humble. You know, Will, back in the day, you know, the women bodybuilders were used a lot. You know, they were very popular. Who are some of the best women that you guys had, you know, used along the way in terms of advertising and promotion for the gym and stuff like that?
Linda Murray came out of the Highland Park Powerhouse, and she was a cheerleader. So to come up, you know, from winning the Michigan to the North American, you know, to Olympia. I would say probably Linda Murray. Okay.
Now I heard that there was some drama between Linda and Ron Love at one time at the Powerhouse Gym.
It was.
I heard it got a little hairy there.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. You can't.
Ron said he got caught doing something he shouldn't have been doing.
Ron was always doing stuff he
You know, I just interviewed Ron recently. Do you think if Ron had given 100%, you know, like the bodybuilding, that he could have been Mr. Olympia? Because he had all the tools, right?
Yeah, I mean, he had everything. The only thing, I mean, just being really critical, or back width and density.
Yeah.
Great, they also look a little smaller.
Right. But by his own admission, he would be a little bit too much with the women. You know, he said he kind of lost focus sometimes. And I always wondered if he gave 100%, like with his genetics and his, you know, how far he could have gone. You know, I think he probably would have gone a lot further in the sport.
Yeah, he was a great athlete. He probably could have played pro baseball or close to it.
That's right. He told me that.
Some assholes were riding down the street on the bike. and they threw out a racial slur and they shot him in the leg.
That's what he told me. Yeah, right. That's right. He told me that. And he said, he was, I think he was a left-handed pitcher too, right?
Yeah.
Which is unusual. Yeah. Yeah, he was really good, John. He was, I don't know if you knew this, John. He was down in Florida playing, semi-pro ball there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Ron Love was really good. Yeah.
And then after that injury, that really threw him off, and that's kind of what brought him into the weights.
Right.
Wow.
To rehab everything.
Yeah, and he won, on the way up.
Will, you mentioned China. What's your biggest foreign market we have in terms of course, gyms?
The Chinese, because they just counterfeit and keep opening.
Do they like the name Powerhouse? Is that why they're so behind you?
Yeah, I mean, they like the name. They like whatever works best for them. But you can't get much control in China. They kind of do whatever they want. So what do? You just kind of sell them the club, the franchise name, and then they kind of just go with it? Yeah, we try to keep controls with them, communication. But like when I went there, they I watched them like counterfeit American celebrities and put them in and under ads. And I mean, let's put it this way: when I went there, there were 15,000 at Starbucks. They added a sit-down restaurant to them, and they're all counterfeit. Oh, really? So Starbucks couldn't do nothing about it. That says a lot. Right. So do you worry that they may, do something to your brand name there by, adding their own crap onto it or selling their own merchandise or something like that? Or how does that work? How do you control that? Well, for some reason, when it comes to fitness and bodybuilding, especially fitness, they really try to copy the Western way. So they're really just copying our best clubs. Right. So they're not going to do anything like that. Because they're trying so much to be like, a Western successful club. Right. Which is good for us.
They're the master copiers of everything, the Chinese.
And Will, I don't know if you mentioned it, Will, where's your number one club where, your marquee trophy club where, if I called and said, I open up a Powerhouse, and you'd say, okay, fly out here and you see the best. I would say Michigan, Novi, Michigan, West Bloomfield, Michigan, those two clubs.
For sure.
What's so special about those clubs, Will, that you would say that?
Let's put it like the guy who wants to catch your workout, you go there. You have so much variety in equipment. We'll have 8 leg presses, 6 thigh extensions, 6 leg curls, different brands, different angles. So you're gonna get a great workout. And the club is big, it's clean, good service, good atmosphere. But mostly we fill the club up with the best equipment. We think is the best equipment around. Right. And we mix it all up so that way everybody can find what works best for them. How do you stay on top of what the best equipment is? Are you one of these guys that is constantly researching to see what the newest companies are and everything like that? How do you stay on top of it? I research new companies. My sons do it all the time. Me and my son Victor go to all the trade shows and try all the equipment and sample it and try to. I love it. That's awesome. What new brands out there impress you? Because a lot of I'm always wondering what the newest brands are. I'm not really on top of it because I don't even go to the gym because of COVID. What brands are the hottest new brands out there for gym equipment? Well, I'd say for a gym owner to put a couple new brands in the club, mix up some people. I'll say the Hoist and the Prime. Prime and Hoist, that's what I heard. Yeah. On Prime, I believe the Stride made a comeback. Oh, Stride made a comeback. I remember Stride was big back in the day. They had those 3 different angles, right?
Yeah, 3 different levels. Yeah.
I remember Bill Phillips was a big proponent of Stride for a while. He was pushing that brand. I think Prime came off of Stride. I think it's the same guys. I'm not quite sure. Oh, really? Yeah.
Well, what advice would you give real world? I mean, obviously real world advice to somebody who wants to open a gym, because so many people ask me all the time, what's my opinion of opening a gym? Usually bodybuilders, right? They're doing some type of, they might be personal training, or they might be working outside the fitness and bodybuilding industry with the quote regular job. And they just love to get into owning a gym. And I never know what to tell them because I don't know. So, I usually tell them I have no idea. And they say, is it a good business? And I say, it is for some people. That's all I know, right? You see some gyms that are successful and some who aren't. I
mean, the way I did it, and I think it works, I did a strong I did strong gut instinct. Of course, I look at all the demographics and all that stuff and competition. But I would like go to a top club and just really, get a feel for the club. And imagine that. Let's say I want to open a club in Orange County. I imagine that if I move this into Irvine with all the competition there, how do I think this club will do? How does this club feel that the club's there? And if I feel it feels better, and then I'll do it.
And what do you need for like startup costs if you want to really do like you always have to have capital, right, to get something successful. So somebody asked me like, how much do I really need to start a gym that, that's going to have the ability to get off the ground and have some sustainability? How much money do they need to have in the pocket, or, in terms of going to a bank? They go to a bank and say, this is, I'm opening up a gym and this is what I need for money.
Well, there's a big variable in that. It depends on what you get the landlord to do. If the landlord does your construction for you, your money needs to go way down.
Right.
And they will do that for big users. They want a strong tenant for years to come. So in that situation, if you probably 400,000, 500,000, you open a real kick-ass gym, a big size club.
Is that owning your own equipment?
Yes, either owning it by rolling it into the bank loan, or leasing it. Either way.
What do you recommend, leasing or owning?
On strength equipment, purchase. On cardio, 100% lease and get rid of it.
Gotcha. Why? Because it gets too much mileage on it?
Yeah, you always want new cardio, so I'd rather have a revolving door, get stuff in every 3-4 years.
What does it cost to lease a cutting edge piece of cardio equipment nowadays?
Well, I do like in big bundles.
Right.
So,
Oh, okay.
I would cardio lease is probably $5,000.
How do you feel about paying rent in a gym? I mean, that's the most gigantic cost, fixed cost monthly is the rent. And I know in my gym, we would never have survived unless we owned the building. And I guess building ownership is kind of a big deal, especially when you're looking for 30, 40, 50,000 square feet in a big city. How do you, with gym membership prices, dropping to like Planet Fitness levels, you got to have an awful lot of volume. How do you substantiate paying that huge rent to a new gym that's opening in a pretty much unproven market for them?
Well, I mean, there's a need now for big box users, so you can negotiate like a good rent. Even a good rent, your rent's still going to be about 40,000, 50,000 a month.
Yeah.
So, but this is the difference. I don't drop my prices under 29 or 39 a month because I don't want that 10 person in my gym.
Right.
That's good.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't want these guys coming in.
I'm going to take a step back for a second. I had a question I just remembered I wanted to ask you. Will, when you guys first started, obviously, you were kind of the new guys on the block. Did you ever have any guys like come in and like try to strong arm you or anything like that, or like say, hey, you can't do this? Because obviously you guys were starting to set up gyms and you're moving into territories and stuff like that. Were people getting jealous and stuff like that of you?
No, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of stories, but I never recall anything. You know what I mean? You have jerks come in, and you just got to treat them accordingly.
Back in the day when you and Norm were like tough guys, did you like have to like fit? Because I know back then you could do it. Would you guys physically throw people out of the gym, like get bounce them out, like in like nightclubs type of stuff style?
Yeah, I did. One time, a couple guys came, being idiot. So I grabbed the guy by the hair, and I was going to change my mind. Then Norm hit him. Norm looked. Norm thought the guy's head came off. So
One of the most imposing sights I've ever seen in my life at a bodybuilding show was Norm and Will walking down one of the aisles at the expo. I remember meeting Norm and shaking hands with him. It was like I grabbed a bunch of bananas. I mean,
how big was Norm at his biggest, Will?
he was like 6'1", about 280.
Wow.
He was big.
Yeah, for 8 and a quarter.
He had a big hand. You're right, John. I remember.
Yeah, I remember grabbing it. It was like, oh my God.
He had a meat cleaver hand, as my father would say.
Catcher's mitt.
And martial arts training, helps a lot, and but that helps. Makes you humble, makes you have more humility.
Right, right. Well, Will, I'm so happy you guys are doing so well with the gyms still, and that you got your sons involved. I'm sure it's a family affair, and I'm glad that you didn't sell out. I mean, I would love you to have all that money, but I think it's what you're doing is better. You're building a legacy, really, and now you've passed it down to the family. So I really appreciate what you're doing. I hope I see more powerhouses popping up here in Florida because I'd love to train at one. And I know that there's someone just posted in the comments that they saw the one in Highland Park. Is that not Highland Park? I mean, down Plantation. They said they saw it in the right. What is it, in the shopping mall?
Yeah.
Yeah, someone said that they saw it right in there because I guess they're in that area, and they said it looks beautiful what they're building over there.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that, guys.
Yeah, thanks. And maybe next time we'll get you on. We'll tell some more stories. We'll get you a slightly better connection because I know this connection's a little weak. But Will, thank you so much, and thank you for what you've given to the industry over the last 35, 40 years.
No, thank you. It's been great to us. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Bill.
Thanks, Bill. I'll talk to you later, man.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Rob, thanks for joining us today. Also, and we're going to get you on actually tomorrow, and we're going to be talking to you on After Hours. Because you've had you and Big Lenny and all the Delray Misfits were kind of hanging out a week or two ago. We want to get your feedback on what's going on with the Big Lenny arrest and the Mr. G fight and everything like that. So I'll send you the link tomorrow for tomorrow's show.
Sure. What time around?
I don't know. We'll probably do it around what do we do, John? 12:30.
Yeah, you're 12:30, which means 8 o'clock.
My 12:30.
Yeah, just let me know. Just let me know tomorrow whenever Will or
all right.
Dave, and I'll be here.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you for having me, guys.
All right, guys. That was
what is it with these connections? Buzz Aldrin came in more clear.
You know what it is, John?
Years ago.
I'm telling you, because every time I try to call into the show with my iPhone, even if I have a strong Wi-Fi, I have issues. It's like embarrassing.
It's I think that live streaming requires a lot of bandwidth, and I think that if you're just in your car or you're in an area that doesn't have a really strong signal. I think if you have 5G, you're good. But even 4G, the 4 LTE is not that strong to live stream with, and I think that's the issue. So. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't even realize they don't have a strong, signal because all they do is check emails until they actually go and try to live stream themselves, and then they realize that it's not that strong the signal. But it is what it is. Will is really, people don't realize, is a real legend and pioneer in this industry because, to start a gym is one thing, to start a franchise is another thing, and to be doing it for as long as he has, that's just monumental.
Dave, the key is right there, the sustainability of it. I mean, you can go back and look at if he's been doing it, how many years? 25, 30?
Since the 70s he opened up.
Okay, so more than that. So if you went back in the 70s and you looked at the biggest companies in the United States like Kodak and Polaroid, I mean, they're no longer even around.
No.
And times change, and McDonald's holds on, and there's Chrysler and Ford, and the point is a lot of franchises or just successful businesses die over time. They have a certain length of, their life in which they can survive. And then that's it, kaput. You say, what happened to that company? They used to have, 80 stores, whether it be clothing, whether it be, you name it. So just the idea that he's been able to not only sustain, but he's in China, he's doing, he told you his numbers. He gave some hints to his numbers. The clothing alone, right?
Yeah. I'll bet you that Ed Connors regrets selling Gold's Gym. I know he has. Actually, he's told me that before, but especially watching the success of Will and the Powerhouse Gym franchise, Ed was, dude, what they had with Gold's Gym.
Dave, you every company owner has some type of regrets because it's their baby that they built.
Right.
And the fact that it's like crazy hard work, whatever you're doing, it's still fun and your passion. I mean, to make it that big, it's your passion. So when you sell it, yeah, you get the check. But then, I mean, how much golf can you play, or how much, like, you know, other things can you do? Whereas, like, for example, Joe was like, I mean, yeah, I mean, what else was he was really old, but you know, I mean, what's funner than to go to the office and call up Lee Haney and Will Dabbish and, you know, what's going on? I mean, the money's still coming in, right? When you own the company, you sell the company. When you own the company, the money for these guys, you know, still coming in.
Yeah, this doesn't sound like, you know, Dave kept making the comment about selling it and giving the kids the money. I guarantee you, there's no shortage of money in that family, whether they sell gyms or not. I mean, if you can stroke a check for $4.5 million to open a club, or get a loan for it on your dime, it's. I mean, you're talking a level way the hell up here. Yeah. So, you know, the interesting thing is, and the point you made is there was a divergence back in the day when gold sold to the dollar store company or whoever it was first. Yeah. And Powerhouse hung on, you know, and not only hung on, but pretty much stuck to their roots. And of course, you know, they evolved as the gym business evolved and went more to the, you know, mainstream. But as he said, they always kept that element of hardcore in there, and that's the mistake Gold's made. Gold's
you're right, John.
Forced themselves of hardcore. Chris, you go on their website, you go to the Gold's Gym website, you don't even see the logo anymore. It's
really? Wow.
John, like, you know what's so funny? You heard Will say they tried, you know, people told me that the logo was too aggressive.
Yeah.
And they asked him, how much clothing did you sell? He said, well, he essentially said, we're for, you know, $500,000 a month. You know,
with the aggressive logo.
It's not like and it's t-shirts. It's not like you have to every year come up with a different Halston or, you know, Pierre Cardin, where you're coming up with a different design. It's like, what's new with the clothes? We're gonna put the big bodybuilding logo on a red t-shirt and an off red versus last year was white and black.
We're gonna offer blue this year.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Well, you know, or someone will say, well, imagine if they did, they would have sold $1.5 million. Bullshit.
Well, so, I mean, John, the point is Gold's, they don't have that guy on the logo. That is an iconic.
Yep.
It really is. You know, I hate that.
How much they lost in clothing is what you're saying, basically. They're selling ridiculous clothing, yeah.
Listen, we asked, I mean, we talked about that, Dave, on the show before when I worked at Gold's Venice, and I heard that, I think you asked, I brought up the fact that I think they would do sometimes $30,000 a day at Gold's Venice in clothing.
Yeah.
And you verified that with Ed Connors.
Yep.
That's $30,000 in clothing out the door.
He would say there would be like Asian people would come like off the plane to Gold's and they would just buy everything in the store. Basically.
Yeah, and that was, but the point is, and it had that logo. The logo, you know, a logo that's aggressive, quote, aggressive like that can transcend, you know, other things. You know, a woman who's doing just, you know, cardio and doing bikini shows might still wear a zip-up sweatshirt with that little logo on it. It's weird how you get rid of things that built you in the first place.
Well, you know what it is?
It'd be like an amusement park getting rid of a roller coaster or something and trying to diversify into like more family-friendly.
Right, but as long as the guy who's running the show it doesn't leave, there's no chance of that. As Will is still in control, his family's in control. Yeah. Once Ed sold, these guys he sold to thought, oh, we know better. We'll make it better now. You know,
because I went to NYU Business School. I really know. I know, and you know, Will went to, and Ed Connors did not go to business school. No. But Will said, I my gut. When he relies on his gut. You know what? That's a ballsy. I mean, he's got obviously tons of experience, but he was talking about going to I'd go to Irvine, and I mean, that go over people's heads because that's his gut, not their gut. Yeah. But if he went to Irvine, which is a high-end market, he'd look around and get a feel for it, and then he'd figure out if he could beat that, competitor or not, which is, his experience. But, they're not teaching that at the hedge fund school that comes over and takes over like Gold's Gym.
Right. But that's why when people say to me, Dave, you want to open a gym? You ever want? I said, no, because if I'm not in the gym, it's not going to be successful because the gym will feed off of my energy there. Just like when John was at his gym in Mexico, it was successful. And then he leaves and, there's no way your gym can be successful because you're not there anymore. You're not running the show. Now it's people who don't really
listen,
have the
Dave,
same
it's so funny when Will said he came from grocery stores. My father had a grocery store.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's funny.
And he had to be, you know what the irony is, what you say, when you'd have to be in the gym. Dave Palumbo would have to be in the gym. When Romano left the gym, sinks.
Yeah.
My father had to be in that place to make it work, oddly enough, because if he wasn't there, it was like rudderless, and it would even though you'd be paying people and people are supposed to be doing their jobs. And
imagine if you, me, and John opened a gym, and at every point, 24 hours of the day, whatever our hours were, one of us was there. Okay, and at some points, where all three of us were there, the gym would be successful. Now, we would be miserable now because we have too many things going on. But if we spent the time in the gym, people would come.
It'd be killer. We
couldn't keep inventory. We would sell everything. Yeah, because people would want to come see us. They want to hang out. It's like the old Cheers TV show. You want a place where everyone knows your name, that kind of thing.
A ship has got to have a captain. You can't sail a ship with no captain. He's got to be on board. And that's what I learned from Joe Gold, is that he told me flat out, he goes, you got to be in the gym.
Yeah.
You're going to be in the gym all day. You got to be in the gym.
Talk to Weinberger. Steve Weinberger is still in that gym every single day.
You got to have the window. You need the window. You got to look out. You got to have the camera. You got to be there.
Brian Dobson in the gym still every day,
Yep. You cannot run a gym without being there. You got to be there.
And it's a labor of love. So if you don't want to be there all the time and it doesn't, not something that floats your boat, then don't open a gym. That's why I don't open a gym. I don't want to be there all day.
I really loved it, man. I got to tell you, I love going to work in the morning when I owned that gym. That was one of the highlights of my whole career. Yeah, that was a lot. That was a really great time.
If I didn't have young kids, maybe that would be a place I'd want to hang out at this point. But I got so much going on. But you have to be there. I know, like Louis Uredell opened the gym, right? The Metro Fit out in Oceanside. And he loves being there. He told me, he goes, that's why I opened the gym. Everyone asked me why I opened the gym. He's like, that's why I want to be. I said, well, then that's why you're going to be successful, because you're going to be there, And it's great to see Will, still doing, like I said, after all these years. And he's very modest, but him and Norm, they lived a lot of life and they did some great stuff out there. And they have so many gyms and so many great stories and memories and people that they, bodybuilders that were sponsored. They didn't even talk about that. They used to sponsor athletes. Everyone had, all the top guys with Powerhouse Gym athletes, and they paid. They were not cheapos. They didn't try to get things for free. So you heard what he said. Joe Weider or Ben Weider needed him to pay for the drug testing, and they needed a sponsor for some parties they were selling, and he didn't buy seats, he bought tables. Yeah. And I'm sure they were not cheap, probably $1,000 a table if I know Joe.
The biggest thing I remember about when Norm was still alive, the two of them together back in the 90s, is just how menacing they looked. I mean, they were scary. I mean, they were just scary.
Yeah, he was being very modest when I was trying to get to it, but they were tough guys.
And they were preceded with the stories, So this guy, and it's like.
Isn't it funny how the toughest guys, John, are the biggest gentlemen? In other words, if you don't cross them and you're loyal to them, they'll do anything for you. There's nothing that they won't do for you. But if you cross them, forget about it.
No, like Norm told me, anytime you want to train any powerhouse, you just walk in there, you tell them I sent, you tell me what I mean.
And believe me, he would defend that word to the end of the earth. That's how they were loyalty wise.
Yep.
And Will still is like that. So it's good stuff. I'm glad they're opening gyms in Florida. I'm glad they're still expanding.
It's in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and somewhere else.
Plantation, Florida.
Plantation, and Dave's like, How about over here where I am? It's the geriatric center.
With my luck, they opening a Crunch Fitness down the road. Like I need a Crunch here. I want a Powerhouse. I don't want a Crunch. I want to I want the real thing. But they're opening like a 2-story Crunch here. It's amazing. Right down the block from 2 gyms. I think what happened, and John, you can maybe speak to this because you're pretty good on this. I think COVID put a lot of gyms so far into the negative as far as income coming in that they just can't survive, and that these other gyms that are out there that have money say, hey, you know what, this is an opportunity to basically put these people completely out of business. We're going to open a new gym right next door to them. We're going to make it better, cheaper, and we'll just take all their members. And that's what it looks like they're doing.
Dave, if you want to take a risk now, I think that was a message that I got that was that post-COVID, there's so much space available, right?
Yeah.
There's so much large space available that if there was a time in the last 12 years where there was, pricing power on the side of a tenant, to come in and squeeze a landlord, because a landlord would just he would be thrilled to either break even or not lose money every month, take money out of his pocket so, I mean, there's opportunities, the flip side is, hey, Will, how much does it cost? You got to come up with that, to do it right. Yeah. Essentially $400,000.
Well, it's $4 million, but
well, yeah, I mean, it depends what you want to open up, I guess.
Well, the thing of it is, though, I read a great article just a couple days ago, I think in Forbes, that the gym members are not coming back. What happened? The numbers are not supporting it. What happened is COVID hit. People like me put a gym in their house. Gym equipment sales were up like 700% over the last, couple year and a half or so. And the gym members aren't coming back. Yeah. And Chris is right. These big spaces, not only gym members are coming back, but big companies aren't coming back. There's a huge building that just got, abandoned here up not far from me where Verizon was. All these Verizon employees were working from home.
They don't want to come back.
Yeah,
but you know what's going to happen? You get one new gym down the block, John, and you say, you know what? I'm going to drive by there and take a look at it. Even though I have my gym built in my house, you walk in there, you're like, I want to join.
Absolutely, but that's us. But
but that's a lot of the gym members. They want the amenities.
The person that spent $5,000 or 10, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6 grand on their home gym. Weights ain't cheap, man.
Yeah. We'll use it as backup. Now it's backup in case there's a lockdown. You got a gym in your house, but you know what? You still want to go to that gym, and if the price is right for $20 a month or whatever, $15 a month these people charge, who's not going to do it? I mean, come on, that's chump change. That's one lunch, every month. You got to give up.
There's 2 ways of looking at it, but I am from the school that says you gotta own the building. It's just no way not to.
Yeah. Instead of giving pizza out like Planet Fitness does, we can give out I don't know, some chicken breast. Maybe I'll put out a platter of chicken breast and sweet potatoes every day.
Let's do a Fiberlize commercial. We can give away fiber. This is a good segment now to tie in.
I'm going to tell you a Fiberlize story because I'm sitting on the toilet going to the bathroom, and John texts me. He goes, What did you say? You said this stuff is unbelievable. I don't know. And it's funny. I was taking a dump while you actually said it to me. It was so. And you're texting. And we're texting back and forth. He's probably on the toilet too. That's the funny thing. He's like, I don't understand why more people don't even use this. I said they haven't tried it. Once they try it,
once you do, there's no way not to use it after you've used it. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, the retention rate, John, is like 97%. Like people buy it once, they buy it for the rest of their lives.
Right.
Jimmy the Bull is giving Ziploc bags of the stuff out to his friends.
Yeah.
We're getting old when people are trading fiber products out, to each other. When you're 20, you're giving protein shakes and bars to each other. When you're 60, you give out bags of fiber.
Somebody just told me that last week they were stressed out of their mind and a competitor, and they haven't gone to the bathroom in 3 days. I said, try Fiberlize. And they're like, what's that? And I said, try it. And he said, I'm still stressed out of my mind, but I can go to the bathroom. I said,
Well, that was, when I was competing, that was the most stressful thing for me. I was worried that I was not going to be able to go that last day because, you stop drinking, you get dehydrated, you get constipated. And it was such if I would actually was able to go to the bathroom before getting on stage, it was like amazing. It was like the most amazing feeling. But usually for prejudging, I couldn't do it because my body didn't wake up in the morning right away. And then usually by later in the day for the night finals, I would go. And I hated that feeling. And when I got the fiber, when I was introduced to fiber by another person, and I realized how easy it makes it go, I said, I got to make my own fiber supplement because this is something people shouldn't be stressed about, you know?
Yep.
That's how it goes. Well, it was a good show. I like to have on like people who really have influenced our industry, you know, from whether it be a bodybuilding competitive standpoint or the gym, you know, business, because it all goes together. And the way we make money in this sport that we love is through different methods. Everyone has their own niche. Some people actually can make money from competing. Some people need to train people. Some people are diet coaches. Some people have gyms. And so it's kind of interesting to get a perspective from someone who's bridged. Think about it. I didn't realize he started Powerhouse in the 70s. And he's still going today, and he's passing it on to his sons. But it looks like Will is pretty much still in control of this whole thing, huh?
Yeah, no, he's the top guy. He's the captain.
Yeah. That's pretty cool at 63 that he's still so interested and passionate about the gym industry that he's you know, he's still engaged. Which means
he sounds like he's learning more as he goes and getting better at it. You know what I mean? It's not like he's like, well, you know, Dave, we hit our peak 10 years ago.
Right.
You know, he's a humble guy. It sounded like, you know, if you read between the lines, we're just going gangbusters. It
seems like he's reinvigorated almost by the fact that there's like more to do. You know, these super clubs sound incredible that he's doing. I don't know if, you know, what kind of, I didn't even think that people were interested in that, but I think what happens is people want one-stop shopping, a place they can do everything at, you know?
Yeah. A gym like that opened in, I don't know, like that. A gym with that concept opened in Mexico City when I was there. I've never seen, and this was probably 250,000 square feet. It was the most amazing. It was 5 levels. They had an auditorium to hold bodybuilding contests on the ground floor. They had CrossFit, boxing, pools, tennis courts, everything you could possibly imagine. A restaurant, nail salon, massage, therapy.
Wow.
I mean, it was like a city inside of there. And you could go there and just wander around inside and kill an hour, you know? It was that big. So I think when you have something that massive and mind-boggling, that's an instant success. Nobody's going to not want to come. Versus, you know, the other end where it's cheap, small, hardcore, people are going to go to that. It's the ones in the middle that are going to suffer because they're neither one. You know, right? No, it's true. It's true. But you know what? I see. Like I said, I still see a lot of people out there that are very passionate about wanting to open their own gym. That love the idea of spending the day in the gym. And look at Flex Lewis did down there in Vegas. You know, with that new Dragon's Lair gym. That's incredible. That facility he put up, and Justin Dees is managing it for him. I mean, that's cutting edge. I mean, that's hardcore. I mean, I could certainly see those being franchised at some point, right? Why not? I mean, got the name, but Flex is there. That's why people probably go. A lot of people probably go there. I mean, I know. Didn't Roden move to Vegas now? Yeah, Roden's there every day. Yeah, he's there every day. I mean, people are going there because they want to hang out with Flex and company, so to speak. And I think that fosters a great attitude. It's almost like the new, dare I say, the new Gold's Gym Venice. I mean, it is what he's creating there, essentially. I mean, people are moving to Vegas just to train at that gym. Well, they're moving there because it's cheaper, too. Yeah. Right. But then you got Iris Kyle and Hide opening up the Powerhouse there, which I forgot to ask him about that one. Will, about the Iris and Hide's gym, which I'm sure, I don't know how big it's going to be, but I'm sure it's going to be amazing also. So here you got 2 competing gyms, almost like Gold's and World, right back in the day in Venice. And now there are 2 gyms in Vegas that are going to be competing at a very high level for who's the most hardcore gym. And I bet you, like you said, John, people will have memberships at both. Oh, yeah. I mean, that was just normal back in the day. I mean, I like training at more than one gym, actually, just to give diversity, too. Yeah. And plus, you know, World Gym had better leg equipment than Gold's. Gold's had more weirdos walking in and out. I mean, it depended on what you wanted that day. I mean, if I wanted to train arms where, Tom Platz was, then, you know, I had to go to World or go to Gold's or whatever was happening that day. It was kind of like a network. You knew what was going on, you know, and I'm going to go here today.
Dave, what's the furthest you would drive, Dave, to get a special piece of equipment? Like the reason I asked.
I used to drive to Bob Bynum's gym in Jersey to train in some of those because he had really, really heavy dumbbells, like 230s or something like that. Yeah.
No, when Jay was like, oh, he had to be only like 19 or something. I remember him saying like, I'm training at such and such today. I'm like, isn't that like in Braintree? Isn't that like 90 minutes from me? He says, yeah, but they get the pull down from my back that I can feel.
Jay Cutler would drive up from Orange County to train at Gold's Venice. Certain
That's true. Yeah. Well, I know, you know, Sean Ray used to drive down there.
Sean used to make a long trek.
This is the best comment of the day in the comment section, by the way. No one moves to Vegas anymore for the hookers. They go for bodybuilders. No one wants the hookers anymore. Well, that's the best comment of the day. All right. I gotta wrap this up. I know you guys got stuff to do. Thanks for joining me. I'm so happy we got Will on. The connection wasn't so great, but we got the gist of pretty much what he was saying. And I want to thank him for joining us, of course, today. And as we say every week, remember, guys, with heavy muscle radio,
the truth hurts.
It hurts.
It hurts, and it gets worse and worse. And if you guys want to tune in tomorrow to After Hours, we will have Rob Jordan back on, and we're going to be talking about the Big Lenny arrest and the Mr. G presumed fight that's going to take place. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but you know, you never know. We'll see you next week, guys.